Good morning. My name is Jeremy Mann. I'm one of the teaching elders here, and glad to be with you again here this morning. About 2 weeks ago, we started a 3-week series on God's heart for the fatherless. And Brian Fury started week 1 talking to us about God's heart for us. That we, as a result of our sin, going our own way, became separated from God, separated from our Heavenly Father. And in that time of separation, while we were going our own way, God, in His love, chased after us and closed the gap between us through the sacrifice of His Son and the forgiveness of our sins. And that if we acknowledge God for who He is and who His Son is as our Lord and our Savior, God gives us the opportunity to be fatherless no longer. That God gives us the opportunity to be adopted into His family as His sons and His daughters. And again, fatherless no more. And last week we continued speaking about God's heart for the fatherless, but this time a slightly different angle in terms of God's heart for the orphan, God's heart for the one on this earth who has no father. Seeing that the most powerful, most self-sufficient being in everything, not even above all creation, as He Himself is not created, but the most self-sufficient, most powerful being has a special love, a special concern for the least self-sufficient, for the least powerful, which is a shocking thing that God places Himself as loving Father over the orphan, obligating Himself as provider, protector, as dad over the orphan. And in this, He calls us, His church, to partner with Him in the care, the love that He provides these orphans. This morning, we're going to look at it a little bit differently. We're going to look at it very practically. We've got a lot of chairs up here, which is very confusing to all of you, I know. This is new. This isn't something that we obviously do very often, so you're going to have to roll with us. But we're going to do something different. We're going to look at what is it that we can do as an individual, as a family, as a church, to partner with God practically in caring for the orphan, caring for the fatherless in our community. And we have 4 families here with us this morning that are going to share with us their stories of how they are caring for the fatherless here in our community. And as I invite them up, you guys can come on up and fill these chairs behind me. I want to say that our church, the Christian church, has actually a huge history, a very rich history of caring for the fatherless. In fact, when Brian spoke week 1, he talked about during the Roman Empire when women gave birth to a weak, to a disabled, to a small, or just even an unwanted child, what they would do is they would leave that child out in front of their door at night or take that child to the garbage heap. And the child would then die of the elements. That's how they would abandon those children. And this is where the first social workers, the first foster families, the first adoptive families rose up out of the church. You don't want to be up front with us? Nora, come on. She's out. She's like, get me to be with my buddies.
Sorry,
bye, sweetheart. All right. But this is where the first social workers, the first foster families, the first adoptive families rose up out of the church. These Christians, these folks that God caught a glimpse of God's heart for the orphan, and they took it seriously, and they hit the streets. These Christians would walk the streets at night, and collect these babies. They'd go to the garbage heap at night. They would save these children, and they would give them to other families in the church who would raise and care for these babies. This was the first child and family services. I mean, this was an amazing thing. This is our church. This is the Christian church. And as we do that, we continue that tradition. We continue with the heart of God in terms of caring for these kids that are on the margin. And these guys are folks that are doing that. Friends of ours that we want to introduce to you. So to start, what we'll do is we'll just have you share your name, your family, who your family is, even if they're not here, Lori, golfing or something. I'm just kidding. But share just your name, the name of your family, maybe the ages of your kids, and what church here in the valley you guys normally hang out at. We'll start with you guys. Moxley's, and I'll get you a microphone so you don't have to scream the whole time. Sorry. We had this as a well-oiled machine. It's on now.
Okay.
You're just speaking to my chest, Cody. I'm kidding. Are we doing something wrong?
Hello.
Oh, that one's on. Here.
Give it that. Okay, so my name's Cody Moxley. It's my wife, Amy, and it's our son, Liam, who's 8. And you guys saw Nora. That's our daughter. She's about 2.5. And we also have an older son, Jack, who's 10. So we go to church at CPC. So.
My name is Lori Sorrell, and my family is not here except the little one that kept running back and forth. She's the youngest. We adopted her 2 years ago, and that's Esther. And then I have a 16-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old son and a 25-year-old stepdaughter. So kind of I mean, I'm only 26. I don't know how. But starting all over again.
There you go.
What else did you say? Oh, I go to the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Pleasant Hill.
Hi, we're Greg and Shauna Beekert. We live here in Danville. We go to CPC. I have 3 daughters. 2 of them are here, Sydney, Emily, and then Sydney's boyfriend, Sam. Our youngest daughter, Audrey, is in Disneyland on her way back today, so with some friends. So
we are Ryan and Molly Lillis. You know us very well. We go to church here, and you see our kids running around. You probably take care of them a lot, so thank you. Emma and Ashton, in case you needed to know. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you guys again for being here this morning and for sharing a little bit with us. So as we get started, I mean, all 4 of your families do something different in this community, really to care for the fatherless. And so let's try to give a little bit of a picture of that. So Lori, starting with you, you have been involved in foster care as a foster family for a long time, and I know that's taken sort of a different shape recently with the county. But if you could tell us a little bit about how that looks, and then also what drew you into this whole thing to begin with.
Okay. Well, I think drawing in first. I grew up with lots of foster families in our church, and I used to beg my mom to be a foster parent, and she always said no. And so I was telling Jeremy that I was actually in your parking lot at a different event during the week, and I saw this woman that I knew, and she had a baby carrier, and I was like, she did not have a baby. So I ran up to her and said, where'd you get the baby? And she said, I'm a foster parent. And it all came back to me like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. I love, So I went home and told my husband I want to be a foster parent. And my daughter, who was 13 at the time, was like begging me, and it was like all deja vu. And I was like, okay, I will do this for you. And so my husband, of course, with him, we treat him with like, if he doesn't say no right away, then we just move forward. And he either comes on board or he eventually puts the axe down. I drug him to the orientation, and it almost didn't happen. They were going to call it off because they didn't have a key to the room. And I was like, oh, I'll never get him back here. And then all of a sudden, the room opened, and he never complained again after that orientation. I still don't know what it was, if it was just hearing the need in the community or what, but what was I supposed to be saying?
Just what is foster care?
Oh,
You're right on the money.
Okay,
Keep going.
so then with foster care for the county, there are 4 all-day Saturday meetings, which you can do over years, and it can take you years to get your license. But if you're committed, I think from start to finish, we did it in 6 months. But that is with being dedicated with a mountain of paperwork, bearing your soul, having no privacy, and in the end, you realize you get very little back from them as far as like information and support. Sorry if there are any social workers in the room. It's not that I don't
Just my
like
wife.
you.
Just my wife. Don't worry about it.
It's just, well, she understands. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just a fact.
No,
that,
I know. That was our experience too.
You have no privacy, really, and you have to be okay with that. And they will give you a baby within days of the license we found.
Yeah.
So we were not intending to adopt. In fact, in the classes, whenever they would talk about adoption, I'd be like, oh, we don't need to listen to this. And I really just felt that call for the babies, like they're the most vulnerable, they need the attention, and I want to give it to them. I have time, I have a teenager to help, and it turns out the first baby we got never left. So, but I do know now what it feels like for a baby to leave, and it is very hard, and I can talk about that later, but is it
No.
my turn over?
No,
Okay.
no, you're great. And ultimately, for you in foster care,
Yeah.
the children that they're placing with you, really, the idea was a temporary home, right?
Yes, it used to be called, and it has since changed, but it used to be called emergency care. And in your mind, that sounds like a few days, a few weeks. It literally, I'd say the average was a year and a half, which is hard because that's not an emergency. That's like part of your family.
Right.
So, and it's an emotional roller coaster that you have to be prepared for, but I can see that anyone here has a support system, and you're adults and you have family and friends.
Yeah.
So it really is about the kids, and what they call it now is resource families, which is kind of a nice name, but what it means is everyone is ready to adopt, but not everybody's going to.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to mean less moves for the children. But I don't know how that's going to work. It's literally just months ago they changed that. So,
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing. And Moxley, you guys share next. So as Lori was talking about in terms of the foster care system or the foster side, knowing that it may be a temporary situation where kids are placed with you while parents go through rehab or get some things figured out in life, get a stable place to live, these type of things, come in or out of incarceration, those type of things. You guys, on the other hand, entered in knowing that you wanted a child to be a part of your family forever. And so tell us a little bit about what that's like, what that looks like, and then also kind of how you got drawn into the whole thing.
Okay. I'll start back my sophomore year in college. I was on a mission trip to Romania. And one of my best friends from college, her family had adopted her youngest brother. And I remember her getting up to share her testimony and share how the gospel came alive for her in her life when she saw her youngest son or her youngest brother being adopted into their family, and everything clicked of God's unconditional love, of undeserving. It's nothing that we do, but a gift from him. And she said that was when it became real for her. And secondary, that became real for me. I want to be a part of that. I want that story, God's gospel, to be displayed in my life. And I was not married or have kids at that point, but I knew that planted the seed that this is a way that I wanted my family to grow and to be a part of our story. So fast forward, we're engaged talking about family, how many kids we want, and I think that both of us were on board of wanting a bigger family and biological and adopted children. And so that was just kind of a no-brainer. Both of us were on board. But I had always, in my mind, thought of two forms of adoption: domestic, a woman willingly placing her child, or international adoption. And so those were kind of just the two avenues that I thought we were going to grow our family. And the same best friend from college adopted their daughter through foster care in a different county. And she just, I don't know, it's so neat to have people in your life that go before you that, can just, you might have that little spark and they just set that to fire. And when you see it in their life, and I said, foster care, I did not even think that there was that need in our community. I mean, look at where we live. And that just was the moment that God was putting that on our trajectory of how we were going to get involved in foster care. And like Lori said, we went through those same classes of the Saturdays and missing out on a lot of sporting events and time with our two older children, and a lot of classes. But we had to, for the adoption, we had to do a little bit more. We had more weeknight classes if we wanted to adopt a child under the age of 5. But I mean, looking back, that was a flash. Like, it went so quickly, and it was invasive, and it was exhausting going through it, but seeing our daughter, I mean, it's all of that is worth it. So, is there any more you wanted me to add to
And
that?
so
Okay.
adoption, just like you said, it's shocking that there's a need for adoptive families in this community. But actually, in speaking with the social workers here, that I asked them, what is the greatest need? Because I knew we were going to be sitting here talking about this. I said, what's the greatest need in the county right now? And they said, she did not miss a beat. She said, foster and adoptive families in Danville and San Ramon. That's what we need. We need more. We don't have enough. We need more. And it's a shocking thing, right? That was not what I had thought. That was not what I expected her answer to be. But that's what she said.
And
Permanent homes.
Yeah.
People that are going to take these kids in as their sons and their daughters.
And because just in going through the classes and the training, I am not going to, there's a wide variety of people that were signing up to do this. And just like in many, I'm not going to judge anyone's heart, but there were people that literally said they were here to do this as an income, and versus growing their family and bringing these children in as their own. And so, and that was the way of some people and what's out there in these homes, just thinking of these children going into a home where they're a source of income for a family, or to be adopted as sons and daughters, or treated as sons and daughters temporarily, or as a resource family. And so,
No, thank you guys for sharing. So these are kind of the two common ones that we think of, right, when we think about caring for the fatherless, is foster care, temporary housing of kids that have no home, no parents. Another one is adopting, is bringing these kids into our family permanently. There's other ways to be involved in caring for the fatherless. Another way, and I'm going to look to you, Beekerts, to share with us here, is another way of this. So it's respite care. It's something that a lot of people don't know about or even know is is a need. I can get you both microphones. I mean, if you're just going to fight over the thing, I'll just get you both. But so tell us a little bit about what respite care is, because it's a little bit new to everybody, and then also kind of how you got suckered into it.
Okay, actually I have no formal training on anything. I just love being a mom. So when Marissa was my daughter Emily's small group leader here at Creekside 3 years ago, Emily came home one day and she said, "Mom, guess what? The Manns have a baby. Isn't she beautiful? They need someone to watch her while they go to Hawaii. Do you want?" I told her.
This is why I call it being suckered in.
She said, "I told her you could probably do it." And at that point, I really didn't know the Manns. And but of course, you see Ari, and I thought, oh, of course I could do that. I would love to watch Ari. And I don't know if I actually watched her that time or not, but Lori did. Anyway, our piece of the puzzle is just kind of, we walked alongside the Manns with Josh and Ari through the whole process. And when Marissa was going crazy with her 4 kids and screaming baby, she'd call and say, "Could you come get someone?" And I'd go get someone, and I would be in heaven. I mean, I would sit there and rock Josh all day long, and we would just smile at each other. And it was such a blessing for me. I loved every second of it. So respite care is just kind of giving a break to the foster families, which they really need. And then through Marissa, I met Lori, who got a new baby, Evelyn, who Lori also was going to Hawaii. And Evelyn was maybe 6 weeks old, and she said, "Would you like to have Evelyn for 9 days?" And I said, "I would love to." So anyway, that's just been what we've done. We've just said yes when people have needed a break or someone to help out in a really simple way. It's been no sacrifice for me at all. I've loved every second of helping. It's a break for them, but it's also such a blessing for me to be able to be part of the process.
Yeah, and I'm going to hold on to the mic just for one more second. So, so respite care being just incredibly generous, sacrificial child care that you're providing, and cheap also.
I'm free.
It's cheap, it's great. But that's the other piece that we love, right? But no, I mean, it is, you say it's no sacrifice to you. It was an incredibly life-saving gift to us, to allow us to really care for our kids the way that we could, and to still enjoy each other, right? And enjoy life. But You guys also have sort of done two phases of respite care. One was at the beginning, right, where you were sort of acting as a babysitter for our kids and taking care of them and loving them. And then the second phase was becoming even more engaged with the county and registered with the county as a respite care provider. And so tell us a little bit more about what that looks like, because Lori and the Moxleys have told us about the classes, the weeknight classes you have to go through, the background check, the home study, these type of things. It's a bit extensive. It took Marissa and I 3 years to get through that process. We were slow, but it took you how long? 6 months, you said, Lori? How long did it take you guys? And 1 year. So it goes varying degrees, but now with respite care, there's a different level of kind of background check and these type of things. Tell us a little bit about that so people understand that piece too.
So you could all do it. It took 3 minutes. We had to go to the county and get live scanned. It's all we did. Myself, Greg, anyone in your household who's over the age of 18 needs to be live scanned through the county. And really that's all I've never met anyone, talked to anyone. They just want to make sure you're not super creepy, I guess.
Which is exactly, how the county system works. You put your thumb down and it says okay or super creepy. It's just you get 2 categories. But really, and that being 2 sides, right, where ultimately you connected up and got to provide respite care to families that you knew, but also now through the county, being registered with the county may turn to you, as they have with Lori as well as yourself, in terms of these things to you, and calling and saying, hey, we've got this foster family, they have a need for somebody, so you may not be connected to that family at all, but have a child placed with you for a short period of time as well. So like you said, anybody can do it, as long as you're not super creepy, and you go and you get fingerprinted. And then ultimately, it's a huge resource to foster families as well as the county overall. So thank you for sharing that piece too. All right, Lilises. So I don't even know what to call what you guys do other than being equated to the work of angels. So tell everyone what you do. I'm gonna ask you some specific questions to help pull some of this stuff out. But tell us what you do, and then tell us kind of how you got pulled into that too.
So we, very simple, we just bring a meal to the Manns every Monday. Yeah, right.
We're thankful. We're thankful that it's her, by the way. But anyway.
So Monday evenings, we just make a meal for them. So how we got suckered into that?
There you go.
I think with all of these stories, God just starts a prodding on everybody's hearts in different ways. So for me, it was listening to Focus on the Family. They had several episodes on fostering, and I knew that I couldn't take on a baby in the place where I was in life, and was so amazed at the Mann story for doing that. But just feeling like, how can I help? And then they gave ideas of how you can be involved with these families. I don't know if meals was one of them, but I think what I did is I just went up to Marissa. Our daughters were in gymnastics at the time, and I think this says something to them too, because they're very real people. I just said, what do you need? And do you need me to come hold babies while you shower? Or, what? She's like, I need food. I just need a meal. I'm like, perfect. We can do that. So that's where it started, and they've tried to talk me out of it several times, but I don't feel like the Spirit leading us there yet. So we'll quit when God tells us to, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And what you guys said, this is what I love about what you guys have done on that, is that you have thought completely outside the box. I don't know of any other foster family or adoptive family that has folks that are caring for them in that way. And I think it's so cool the way you just even talked about that. You said you got a glimpse of God's heart for the fatherless, wanted to be involved, so you tuned your ear into Him. And He's the one that directed you. I mean, I think that is so incredible and so honorable, and we have been seriously blessed by that. And just because you said it, Monday night you guys come, so we have Tuesday through Sunday available, is what I'm saying here. I'm just kidding. It sounds like I'm trying to get more babysitting and food, but I'm not.
I'll cover Wednesday. You'll never eat again. Don't worry. I got you.
In-N-Out Burger. All right. But no, really, I mean, it's not traditional, but I think it's so cool the way that God pressed in, whispered in your guys' ear for it, and you guys found your ex and stepped on it. And Just such a cool thing and been hugely significant to us. You guys say all the time how you think it's tiny and small. I'm serious. You're saving our sanity. So thank you. So tell us, we talked a little bit about what the county requirement is or what is required of you in doing that. And maybe what we'll do now is talk a little bit about what has it meant to your family? What has been the greatest, what's been the greatest challenge, I guess, with it, number one, and what's been the greatest gift that's come of it, number two? Does that make sense? Okay, good. We'll start with you guys down here. You guys have the microphone. Moxley's fire away.
I'll start and you can add. I think there's been so many amazing things that have happened. Our perspective on life has changed. Our priorities have changed. We've kind of had to rethink a lot of things. And so it's just been cool to be a part of something, do something that's more important than what we've had going on or had planned or and just to fill a need in our area. And our lives have been affected, and we've noticed, I think, our friends' lives, family, just seeing support, from everybody. We feel like in different ways it's kind of, touched our circle of friends and family. I think, there's the obvious challenging things of just having a new kid come into the home and, she's 2 and approaching 3, and it's not all peaches and easy all the time. There's the real challenges there, but I think it's cool being a part of doing something like this and having her in her home. It's definitely worth it, and it's all the hard stuff and the challenges. It's definitely worth it. I think for me, one of the cool things to see is just how our boys have responded. I think definitely seeing them kind of step it up and just being, Liam being a big brother and Jack continuing to be a big brother and, helping out in just the day-to-day stuff, but also just, seeing their love for her and caring for her and even each other. It's been, I think we kind of laughed early on as like, wow, they're not fighting as much, or Jack's way more patient with Liam, or vice versa, So that's been really cool. So I feel like it's helped kind of refocus all of us in different ways. So it's been pretty neat. You want to add?
Sure. Just since Liam's sitting here, I'll embarrass him a little bit. But one little thing of how he just grew and rose to the occasion was after Nora joined our family and I was frazzled on every end. Liam started cooking eggs in the morning. He's 8 or 7.5 at the time, and I was the one cooking everything. He would say, how do you want your eggs this morning? I'm like, oh my gosh, who are you? So just that was so amazing, seeing that and seeing our boys and their compassionate hearts. That as a parent, you pray for your children that they would, one, know and love God and want to live out that love and seeing it tangible in their life. The greatest gift ever. In times where they would even talk me down, like, Mom, she can't, this is just her hurt coming out. This is, just have patience. I'm like, okay, I can do it. I can do it. But so piggybacking on that, of one of, I think, the hardest thing through this is loving and not getting anything in return for a long time, and never experienced that in my life in any relationship. And so it's heartbreaking seeing a 21-month-old come into your home that should know nothing but love and only knows how to reject people. And she's been hurt too much. And so breaking down those barriers and just being able to check my heart of why we're doing this. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm not doing it so I can, feel good about myself, but doing it for her, that she would know love from us and ultimately from God. And so, I mean, that's been the biggest challenge. But then the biggest blessing is seeing the fruit of that and just seeing her little by little praying that those walls would be broken down around her heart and that she would be able to receive love and just flourish into who God made her to be, and that we would keep our sanity in the process of it. So, but yeah.
Awesome. And Liam, how old are you? 8. 8-year-old cooking eggs. I think it should be said, Cody is a fireman. That's why this works. Cody's a fireman. If something goes wrong, he's there to put everything out. So don't try this at home. But
the point is, our kids are capable. So our kids are capable of more than, I took so much, I think, pride in doing everything for my children. It's like they can do more and to free up time for more. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And we've seen that change with our kids as well. Bringing Ari and Josh in, seeing this different nurturing side, this sensitive side that we didn't see towards each other, now coming out to these younger siblings. And that's fantastic. And I love what you guys are talking about, too, in terms of having younger kids. So bringing a child in, adopting a child when you have younger kids. So, Laura, you said earlier, you waited, you had a teenager to help you,
Yeah.
and I think you even said starting over. So,
Well, it is helpful, but sometimes I feel kind of bad. Like she's going to be sitting in the back seat with these old parents and all by herself. So I keep telling my husband, we need another one. But it did remind me of some things. Earlier on, when she was not ours yet, but she was with us, I had to go to family court and just representing her and seeing what was going to happen. Because most of these kids, even though we're calling them fatherless, are really have 2 parents still living that just for many reasons can't or won't be parents. Mm-hmm. And so that's even a weirder challenge than I thought of when you think of you're adopting orphans. Like, of course they need parents, but it's going to be interesting down the road to explain that. And I remember the social worker saying, because she happens to be African American, and she was saying, like, how are you going to explain this to her? And I was like, well, how was anyone going to explain it to her? Because the issue is that she had a parent, she's not in here, right, who didn't, want to be a parent or parents. So I think that the hurt is going to be there and have to be dealt with no matter what race we are, what age we are. Mm-hmm. And but I think I was saying I went to family court, and I made my son come with me because my husband was working, and it's opened up a lot of good conversations for us, like sitting there for 7 hours waiting. It's probably the saddest place on earth. People are they're all broken, and you're watching their lives either get a little bit better depending on what happened or just completely falling apart. And many of them are just not with it, and it was a little bit scary and dangerous feeling at times. Especially with our baby's parents being there. I was like, first they were nice, then they got hostile. And so, I was kind of talking to my son, like, I hope you never end up in this place yourself. Like, your choices are really important. And, it doesn't seem like this would be a huge choice, who you marry or who you date, but that's what they all thought, and they're all here. So, and just about addictions, because that's mainly why they're there. And, not to be judgmental, just if you can avoid the addiction in the first place, please do. Yeah. But it gave me a lot of compassion for the people that have the addictions. It's like, of course they would never choose this. They want to be whole, and hopefully some of them will. But it made a lot of sense seeing it firsthand. And I think it's great birth control for teenagers. I don't think I'll have to worry about it.
Oh, man. No, yeah, there you go. So, and what you just said is really interesting, too, and I think something that's important to hear is that very few times in life do we have the ability to really enter into the brokenness of this world and make a significant, sincere change in the way that's going to be really a part of God's redemptive story here, as Amy, you were saying earlier, through these efforts, and all you guys have been. So, no, that's fantastic. Beakerts, you guys have had kids come in through your house including both of ours, at random times. And so what has it been like for you guys? What has it been like for your family, your girls, to experience this and see this as well?
I think, for us, is that on? There we go. It really started with, the friendship we've had with you and Marissa, and starting, and Shauna is just all about babies. I mean, that's, anybody that knows her knows that. Any baby she sees, she wants to hold immediately. And so it was not a stretch for her, a little bit of a stretch for me. But seeing how much Shauna loves doing this and having babies in the house and how much the girls love that was very easy. And I quickly got attached to Ari. Mm-hmm. And then when you guys got Josh, it was, we got another, when he's over, I finally got another guy in the house. Got my 3 daughters, my wife, I got my dogs, but, I had like the little man of the house.
There you go.
And so that was great. And now, just recently, Lori had a foster child that we got to watch, and now she's in a different foster home. And through that connection, now we've still been able to continue watching her and mm-hmm. providing respite to Jean, her new foster mom, and just had her for 3 weeks. And just to see, for me, it's, like I said, it's not a stretch for Sean. It's a little more for me. I'm thinking, where is this leading? And the hard part is knowing that child's not going to continue to stay in the house. I mean, there's a definite beginning and end to this, and which, can be a great thing. Yeah. But at the same time, you do start to get, that attachment to them after a period of time, walking in the room and their face lights up, at 6 months old, and just a big smile, and, just seeing that is, just tugs on your heart and says, and we've talked about what does this look like for us in the future? Is this continue on this, or possibly, getting certified to be foster parents and what that might be. So it's, there's a bunch of avenues this could go for us, and we're just trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah, and like you said, with older girls, 2 girls in college, one going into high school, that it's been cool to see their interaction on this side too. And I know just from my own kids that you guys have been well involved in their caring for them, and what a cool thing it's been for you guys, as you guys have said. And what you just said is really interesting too, is knowing that this child may not be with you forever. I mean, Lori's talked about this before as well too. It doesn't mean that to be a foster parent you have to be heartless. It doesn't mean that. In fact, I haven't met one yet that is. What it means is that you have to value the care that you're going to provide this child for a short period of time over the hurt that it's going to be in terms of separation. And it's not easy. It doesn't mean that we have kids pass through our house and we're okay with it all the time. It's hard. But we value what we get to do for that short period of time in that kid's life more than we do the potential pain that's going to come as a result of it. And I know that's hard. I know it's hard. Molly, Ryan, what has it been like for your kids? I mean, obviously, you're taking time away. You're making more food than you normally make. You're making stuff that we like, maybe they don't. And they're seeing you take a whole bunch of their food and their snacks and their good stuff and leaving them on somebody else's doorstep. What's this been like for your kids to see? What has their interaction been? What conversations have you guys had with them about that?
Well, the first conversation was in the first drive over to your house. Why do they have 2 other babies? Like, what are they doing? And in our family, my sister and my brother are adopted. I don't know if I've told you guys that. And so it was very good to relate, just how we can serve other people, and then to share your guys' heart of how there's kids out there without parents who need to be loved. And of course, the next question was, well, when can we get our own baby? We're not doing that for now, but
it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I know. I can see. Not that slippery. I think just practically. I think practically speaking, I think just overall, we're all called to different things. And I think it's great as a parent to just verbalize ministry, to exemplify ministry, what that looks like. And it looks different for each one of us as parents. So for us, they get to choose the dessert every once in a while. Like, what do you think we should make? Or what do you think we should do? Or, and just being involved, getting them involved with that. And then talking through it with, sometimes it's like, I don't want to drive to the Manns, I want to go swimming, or, sometimes, there's the backstory of that, but it's like, you know what? We are going to serve this family because they need us. And sometimes that means denial of ourselves. And so I think there's a lot of different lessons that they get to see, but I think it's cool that they get to be a part of, which was kind of like a backstory, right? Because Ryan and I felt called to do this, but didn't even think of how it would impact the kids. And it definitely has, just to see ministry in motion, so.
So I'm always kind. So let me tell you the faith journey side of what I've seen that Molly won't tell you about. So for her, it's been a faith journey in that she came to me and said, hey, God's putting this on my heart. What do you think? And I was like, that sounds great. I'm all in, mainly because I probably don't have to do much. That's not what I thought immediately, but I was like, well, this isn't really my. But she was kind of coming to me, like, hey, this sounds like a cool thing, and I was like, that sounds like a great thing. But to watch the faith journey, I think for her has been really cool of how she's kind of dealt with this. And I won't go too much into our budget, but she does this on her own. She makes her own money, and the faith journey on that part too, of like where God's provided for this opportunity, and just to watch, she comes to me and she'll say, the man say I should stop. What do you think? And it's just her wrestling with God to watch that of like, I don't feel like God's moving me yet. I think it's still time to go. So that's been a really cool thing for me to watch on the outside, is to kind of see her faith grow and her talk to the kids about this, and for our kids to see, like she said, how you care for someone else deeper in a way that is, it's a little bit of a sacrifice. We drive a little extra and we don't go swimming right away, like she said. That's been a cool thing for me to watch on the outside.
Yeah. And you guys talk about it as if it's a small thing. And look at these conversations, look at these things your kids are getting a glimpse of and getting to be a part of and talk through. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So we're about to close up here. Let me borrow that microphone for a second. When Marissa and I decided, hold on to that, big fella. When Marissa and I decided to do foster care, our biggest concern was, and what kept us for years from doing it, was what the impact was going to be on our kids, on our biological children. We were really nervous about it. You were, 6? And Emmy was, math, 4. And we were freaked out by that. And so I know that a lot of families are probably in that same boat. So we didn't prepare for this, right? You just came up here in your baseball t-shirt. So let me ask you just a couple questions, and you say what's on your heart. So, buddy, before we adopted Ari and Josh, we went out to dinner. Do you remember that? And
Yeah.
We talked about what the sacrifices were that we were going to need to make as a family, and what it was going to mean for us, and if you wanted to move forward with it. And now, that was before you even really knew what those sacrifices were going to be, right?
Yeah.
But now you know. So what do you think? I mean, has it been hard for you to have Ari and Josh as a part of our family?
Not that much. It's been better. Because,
Better? What does that mean? Go ahead.
Like, because they have helped us become closer.
Closer to?
Everybody.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm going to pick on that later. I'm going to find out what you really mean. We don't have time here, but no, but that's cool. So have you seen that you have had to make some sacrifices?
Yeah.
Like what? What's a sacrifice you've had?
Like sometimes you couldn't do stuff with me because you had to be with Ari or Josh.
Yeah, there are definitely times where my time gets taken away, right? Where if they weren't around, maybe we'd have more time to hang out. We'd have more time to run around and do some of those things. But because they're babies, they require some things. They yell pretty loud, right?
Yeah.
And so they've required some time. Has that been hard at times?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But on the flip side, you've got these two kids that now you've got another younger sister and a younger brother that you love very much. And would you want to go back?
No.
No. You're happy that you've got two other little ones in the house, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I love you, buddy.
I know.
So, as we finish up, we've got 10 seconds So maybe what we do is we'll pass the mic down. If you had advice to give somebody that maybe is sitting here going, gosh, I don't know, maybe this is something that we want to be involved in, that they're feeling the whisper in their ear, something like that, you pass that to Liam, bud. And maybe you can say something too. But what's the little nugget of advice that you would give somebody sitting here? Maybe just 10 seconds, you can't be long.
I'd say just go to an orientation meeting at the county. It's no commitment, and you will hear of the great need. So.
Yeah.
I would say, don't be afraid of the pain that is inevitable.
I would just say listen to God when he prompts you to say yes. It's easy to say, no, I don't have time for that. Just listen, pray, and maybe try saying yes to God.
Yeah, just to, we've all got extra time. Even though we're all very busy, we do have extra time to spend helping somebody that needs it.
And I would reiterate what Doug always tells us, is we have an opportunity to be in the front row seat to see what God's doing. We just have to have eyes and ears open to see that, and also just ask, just to be available and willing. That's all it takes, and God will just reveal that to you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here this morning. Thank you for what you do for our family. Thank you for what you do in this community. Thank you. You guys can have a seat. Thank you. Oh yeah, I'll throw it up there. So as I'm just gonna close this in prayer this morning, and as I do so, the worship team will come forward. Father, thanks for this morning. Thanks for time to be together as a community, Dad. Thank you for breath and life today. And God, I do pray, Father, for us, Dad, that you would give us ears to hear, God, what you may be calling us to. And as all of these guys alluded to up here, Father, that you would give us the strength, Father, that you give us the conviction, Father, to take one step forward. That we don't need to make a commitment to bring in a child into our house at this point forever. But instead, God, that we would listen to you enough, Dad, trust in you enough to take one step forward, if that's what you're calling us to, Dad. And on top of this, even though, Lord, this morning we are talking about care for the fatherless, foster care, adoption, respite care, these type of things, Dad, that I know you don't call us all to the same thing. And Father, if there are other things, God, that you have been nudging us towards, other things you've been calling us to, visiting people in the hospital, visiting people in prison, taking meals to elderly families across the street from us, or whatever that may be, Dad, that we would be sensitive to your voice, God, that we would hear your whispers, Dad, and that we would step into your redemptive work in whatever way it is that you're calling us. Father, we love you. We're thankful for you. We know that you love us because you're good, not because we're good. And may we be a church, Father. May we be a people, God, that enter into that, and that the community can see that love for them through the way that we love others. It is in your name, God, that we pray these things. Amen.